The Kansas Wesleyan Coyotes are continuing their historic season, coming off a 42-0 win against Southwestern down in Winfield over the weekend. Hello and welcome to the Coyote Gameday Pregame Show. I'm Ryan Thies. We've got plenty to talk about within Coyote football this show, including an interview with head coach Matt Drinkle, some highlights over the weekend, and a preview of the homecoming matchup against McPherson right here at the Graves Family Sports Complex. In their 42-0 win against Southwestern over the weekend, it was their first shutout since 2010, as the defense came up huge, forcing many turnovers. And on the offensive side of the ball, Jake Curran led once again, 357 yards of passing, including 4 touchdowns, and that earned him his 3rd consecutive Offensive Player of the Week in the KCAC. Now, even though the offense scored 42 points in their win, they could have scored a lot more. They had a bit of a slow start in the first quarter. A botched field goal, a lot of drop passes by the receivers, but still late in that first quarter with Londarius Thomas's touchdown, that really got things going, and they kind of built on the momentum after that, and the defense was there all game. They had a lot of good stops, gave the offense very good field position. They really capitalized on that. And that's the big thing the players talked about in postgame with their interviews right here, but they really have good faith in their defense, and they look to continue that here against McPherson.
Defense, they're the engine for this team. They play well. We have a chance to win every single game. We stumbled in the red zone a couple of times. We didn't get any points, but our defense got some turnovers, and we just got the ball back short field, and it was over from there.
It's exciting for the program. I think we've continued to grow in all 3 phases. The offense, the defense. You saw us on special teams play really well, sound football tonight. We talk a lot about you can't really win games on special teams, but you can lose them real quick. So that was the thing that was a big advantage for us tonight. And all those things combined, if you can put some points on and make them one-dimensional, that's exciting. And I think we got things headed in the right direction. And again, it's a new set of challenges that we'll face.
4-0, it feels fantastic. Tell you the truth, I've never been 4-0 in the season before, and it feels great. Our coaches are great. They prep us for what we got to do, to where we get at. Practice, always focused, nonstop. I think today we came out, we just executed what our coach told us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think people are starting to, they're seeing something. I got to figure it out and do a self-scout, but they're doing something where we're matching personnel groupings or formation to certain coverages. And, it's unfortunately last week it's taken me about half the first quarter to figure out what they're doing and how. And but like I said, you throw away a couple of those drop balls that are frustrating for us for sure. We move the ball pretty well through the air, and that's really, we thought very highly of their front 6. So when we run into teams that do that, we need to throw the ball some and kind of tire those guys out before we start trying to run it.
Now we sat down with head coach Matt Drinkle, talked about some of the good things that happened in the game against Southwestern, also talking about this game against McPherson for homecoming and the opening of Gene Bissell Field at the Graves Family Sports Complex, and he talked about the importance of that role. All right, well, your team has moved up 4 spots in the top 25 poll, coming off the first shutout since 2010. How do you feel about that?
Our defense played really well. Our coaching staff put together an excellent plan, and their kids went out and executed at a high level. Wish we had played a little better or sharper on offense to capitalize on all the turnovers they forced. But we talked a little bit before the game about this kind of really being a coming of age game for our defensive side of the ball, to where you're putting really quality stuff on film as far as physicality, assignment sound, hustle, those things, and then they went out and did it.
Now you guys ran 94 plays. We talked last week about the importance of the tempo. How big was that in the role of winning that game?
Yeah, I think part of the reason we ended up running so many was just because the defense forced so many turnovers. I don't think we really did anything different that I noticed during the course other than tempo, other than there was one point where we thought maybe they had picked up on a couple of our signals that we used, so we wanted to kind of outrun them for a little bit. So it was a little more than what we typically prefer, but kind of what the game dictated that we had to do.
Now 9 for 20 on 3rd down conversions. You talked to me about that a little bit, how you need to improve. How have you really prepared to get better in that aspect?
Our 3rd downs are kind of a goofy deal. It's kind of like if you break us down on offense, run pass, but 3rd downs is a goofy deal for us because there's certain situations, basically every time we cross the 40, I'm not trying to always get the 1st down on 3rd down. There was a great play where, great examples like, if we're in 3rd and 10 from the 38-yard line going in, where most teams set up, okay, well, it's 3rd and 10, they need to get 10 yards here, otherwise they have to kick a field goal. Well, we don't kick very many field goals, if ever. So on 3rd and 10, I'm not necessarily always trying to get the first down. I might just be trying to get us into a 4th and short, which is a very convertible situation. So I might call a run play where they're in some kind of soft pass coverage defense. So as long as we're above 45%, we're in really good shape, and anything above 50% is elite. So we're, I think we're 48% for the game. So kind of right in the wheelhouse there.
So now a big game coming up this Saturday. Not only homecoming, but we're getting the dedication of Gene Bissell Field, opening up the Graves Family Sports Complex. What does that mean to you and your team?
It's incredible. Our kids benefit from it right now from a practice facility standpoint, but it'll just be so nice for the Kansas Wesleyan and Salina community to come together to really, one, is see a great facility that Darryl Victory has worked really hard on, a facility that so many people and key contributors financially have helped make possible, and that Gene Bissell is a legend. Nobody here would be doing anything that without all the things that guy did for this institution, this community for so many years. So I think it's going to be, it was a tremendous responsibility for our guys to show, to play well and perform well, because you only get one first game ever at the stadium.
Are you guys using that as leverage this week?
We absolutely are, 100%. Like I said, it's just a big responsibility for our guys to understand that this is only going to happen one time ever in the history books. Whatever we do from 6 to 9 p.m. Saturday stays that way forever. And we have to ensure that to honor Coach Bissell and his family and his legacy, so when his great-great-great-great-grandkids come, they're going to read about the first game that was ever played here. And it's, it's another way for us to add pressure to our kids to see how they respond to those scenarios.
Now, directly against McPherson, how are you guys preparing for that team?
It's actually pretty good shape on both sides of the ball. We're not totally dissimilar scheme-wise. Defensively, they're a 4-2-5 and play a lot of cover 3, soft zone stuff, 3 deep, where that's a lot of what we do. We just do it kind of little nuances of how different ways we do it. And then offensively, they're based out of 2-back quite a bit, which we obviously are with Colby Donahue. And then, they want to run the ball first and play action pass. And so there's not a ton of differences. We're really going against each other in practice this week as we'll give the best scout looks.
Now, final question. Jake Curran, once again, KCAC Offensive Player of the Week as your quarterback. What can you really talk about him?
He's continued to improve so much every week. He was, I used to joke that he was always kind of a pain in the butt to coach because he was so bright, but he's very competitive, puts a lot of pressure on himself. And a year ago, when we were typically down in games and not giving him the best protection, he felt like he always had to make a play, as opposed to now he can run the offense. And he's really become one of the most enjoyable kids to coach because he is so cerebral that you get a lot of back and forth dialogue now within the offense and what he's seeing out there. And I really value his input and his leadership now, that because he's so much more positive and having fun and calm, he's leading our team so much better than he was before. He's really kind of embraced that role and going. Now, I tell our tailbacks, LT and Miles, if they would just quit getting tackled all the time and just score a bunch of touchdowns, Jake, we never have to throw. So that will be hopefully the goal this week, is for Jake to not be the player of the week in the conference this year, or this week.
All right, once again, thank you, Coach, and good luck this Saturday.
Thanks a ton.
Now, a very big homecoming game here at Kansas Wesleyan as we're opening up the Graves Family Sports Complex and Gene Bissell Field. There's going to be a ceremony with Gene Bissell himself for the field dedication, and just like Coach Matt Drinkle said, there's only one first game here at this stadium, and they really want to make a lasting impression. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of the numbers. McPherson on the season are 0-3. They've had losses against Doane, Southwestern, and Bethel on the years. KW still remains 4-0, only undefeated team in the conference. Now, the leading rushers for McPherson, Zach Boyd has 33 carries, Devontae Doucette has 31, and both them combine for 131 yards on the season. They're averaging between 3.8 and 3.4 yards per carry and around 40 yards per game. And there's only been one rushing touchdown. They've only scored 4 touchdowns all season, and 3 of those have been on the ground. One of them was a defensive touchdown through a big fumble return. But then for Kansas Wesleyan, they have Miles Balthazar, Kelly Cordova. Balthazar, 47 carries on the year. He's got 189 yards, averaging 4 per carry. And Cordova, 8.9 yards per carry on average. And Balthazar has 3 touchdowns on the year. And now passing, Chris Linden is the Bulldog quarterback. He's got 49 pass attempts, completed 22. That's about 45% of the time. He's got 244 yards on the season, and no touchdown passes for him. Now Jake Curran, 135 attempts, 84 complete. That's about 62%. And he's already got 1,200 yards on the season, averaging over 300 a game. He's got 10 touchdown passes for this electric Kansas Wesleyan offense. Now on the receiving side for McPherson, Stephon Walker has 8 catches, Michael Ramos 7, and Walker has 129 yards. And he averages about 15 per catch and about 40 yards per game. Joe Vila for Kansas Wesleyan leads. He's got 411 yards on 25 receptions on the year and averages over 100 per game. He also has a touchdown. And then Mitch Kufal has 331 yards per game, and he has 4 touchdowns on the season. And as a team, Kansas Wesleyan has about 187 rush yards per game, but they're passing 359 yards per game, and McPherson a little bit of the opposite. They've only got 82 on the ground and 86 through the air. Now this is a game for Kansas Wesleyan where they need to jump on their opponent very quickly and really just excite this big crowd that they're going to have on hand here for homecoming and the opening of the new stadium. But Coach Strinkle talked about in his interview, they want to give more carries to Londarius Thomas and Miles Balthazar, see what they can do with the ball, kind of relieve some of the pressure off of Jake Curran. He kind of joked that he doesn't want Jake to have the 4th consecutive offensive player of the week, even though it would be nice, but still, they want to see what their running backs can do on the ground. They want to increase really their firepower in that way and just run here against McPherson. Another big part of Kansas Wesleyan's game is their defense, and they're up against an offense who averages less than 200 yards of total offense per game. So if they just stick to their game plan with really Matt Myers as lead tackler last game, if he just continues to do what he has been doing this season, and guys like Tyrone Wright, Sequente Marks, and Marquel Jones-Walker, if they have just a decent game, Kansas Wesleyan will turn out all right against McPherson. They're also going to use this homecoming game and opening of the Graves Family Sports Complex as big leverage, like Coach Strinkle said. They're excited to finally play on this field that it's been many years in the making. It's finally here. It's finally going to have competition played on it. And everyone all around the Salina community is very excited for this. I'm personally excited, and I know the full athletics department is excited as well. And no better place to have a homecoming game than the Graves Family Sports Complex. It has 2 full turf fields, a brand new stadium, a big press box with also a video level, which I'm standing on right now, but just a lot of excitement and a lot of nice facilities that are going to be opened here up today. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the games that are going on around the KCAC. Bethany is at St. Mary in Leavenworth. Number 16th ranked Tabor is in Sterling to play against the Warriors. Southwestern is in Wichita visiting friends, and Bethel is on the road against Ottawa. But right here in Salina, the Coyotes look to stay undefeated against 0-3 McPherson in their homecoming game and the opening of the brand new Graves Family Sports Complex. Stay tuned right here on the Coyote Sports Network to listen to Mike Hammett and Travis Reese on the call. This has been the Coyote Gameday Pregame Show on the Coyote Sports Network.